Here we are on a nice cold morning in Richelieu Park, and we're going to go for a little bike ride on the Himyway City Pedelec. I haven't been on a bike in over 20 years, so it might be an interesting experience. On y va! This park was originally the park and gardens of the chateau, which belonged to the Cardinal Richelieu. The chateau doesn't exist anymore, but the park is really lovely. It's big though, and we've never fully explored it because with little boys walking, you get 2 minutes in and they've had enough. So now we've got a bike, we're going to go and have a real proper tour, and the best bit is the bike's electric, so that will give me a little boost if I get tired.
You look really cool in your hat.
Oh, I am so cool. Safety first, guys. You've got a little screen here. This tells you the speed you're going, your battery. You can do up to 120 kilometers on this one. This is the city one. And this bit here is how much oomph, that's a technical term, you're getting from the battery versus yourself. So as I've mentioned on the channel before, I've had rheumatoid arthritis since I was a teenager. So having the electric bike is really helpful for me because it means that I have more confidence to do more journeys. It takes a bit of the pressure off of a lot of my joints and gives me support to go out and do more activity and more journeys. There are so many lovely bike routes around here. So now that we've got this Himyway bike, I'm really hoping we'll be able to get out this summer and explore a lot of the area. So far, I'm really enjoying riding the bike. It is pretty hefty, so it's not that easy to get on and off trains, for example. But it does mean when you're riding it, it feels really sturdy and safe, which as someone who is not great on a bike and hasn't been on one for a long time, that's really nice. I don't feel like I'm gonna fall off it. It feels really secure. I love the architecture in France so much. It's so beautiful, and just look at the roof on this building. It's absolutely incredible. This bike has a Samsung battery which can take you up to 120 kilometers, which is one of the longest ranges on the market. Here you've got the electric control panel, which is really easily accessed when you're riding. Power button, this one does the light at the front. This brings up the menu, and these are the important ones. This is the one that gives you more electric power and less. So this is the Himyway City Pedelec, and this model is only available in Europe, but Himyway do have a whole load of other bikes which are available in the US as well. If you're interested, then click the link in the description below to see which models are available in your country.
Is it my turn now? Can I have a go?
Well, it is your turn, and the seat is really easy to adjust the height. You don't need any tools, so it's easy to share with your loved one.
Such a big head. It doesn't go up.
Well, I mean, I can adjust it.
It feels like someone's already had an accident in this helmet. It's twisted.
couple of croissants and we're ready for a coffee break. Thank you very much to Himiway for gifting us this bike. We've really enjoyed getting to grips with it this morning and look forward to lots more adventures on it in the coming summer. If you would like to have a look at them for yourself, then do click on the link below to take you to their site.
It's really windy today. Last night felt like the house was going to blow down. It won't, don't worry. So this pile we picked up the other day. We were driving past the house and we saw that they had piles and piles of branches, and we just asked if we could take a pile or two, and they agreed. They were really happy that we could take some away. They were going to shred some anyway, but they had to buy a chipper. And that brings me on to this, because this is pretty decent. But if you've got this much, it's going to take a long time. You need something a bit more industrial to get in there and get it a little bit finer. So it's something we're going to have to look at. And I think obviously it's a big investment, but we're going to have lots of beds. We're going to have lots of paths that we're going to need to add wood chip and mulch. So I think that's where we're going to go with it. But for the meantime, I have to get all this stuff munched up and start making a dent in the pile. So it's still very windy, but it is warming up, and I'm really looking forward to the change of seasons, because it does mean that we can put out more films to you, and we realise we haven't actually filmed much this year, and that's down to a number of factors, and we might explain that in a future video. But the last 6 months have been extremely tough on us. Financially, we're actually doing much better though, which does kind of show that money doesn't always lead to happiness, and actually your health is the most important thing, and that's something that we've struggled with across the family, lots of different things, and yeah, it's been very, very tough. So do bear with us. We are in it for the long haul, and there's a lot of exciting things coming up, so yeah, just bear with us. So it's been a few days since I threw what you saw, and I'm here now trimming, and I've done 4 so far. Just thought I'd get into the kind of swing of it really, rather than film straight away. This is a big bowl, and so I'm just gonna trim the excess, because otherwise it'd be quite heavy. It's quite heavy, and there's 2 reasons why you trim. One, for kind of aesthetics, to make it look a lot better, and another one is to remove the excess clay for weight, and also that can be in the kiln. If you've got too much clay and it's too heavy, it may crack. So the distribution of clay up here is obviously a lot less than at the bottom, so if you try and even that out fully, then it's far better. To center it, so you have to put it back in the middle of the wheel head, and these sausages are just squished out so it's not going to move, and I'm going to trim around here. And it's quite a you've got lots of tools these days that can center it for you and hold it in there, but this is a old school way, how I learned. The weather has been very changeable, and therefore we've had to be flexible with what we can do. On the sunny days we've been working in the garden, we've been pointing the walls, and the main job in the veg garden is that we need to tackle the couch grass, and we've been digging it up, and we've dug up quite a few wheelbarrow loads, and we're now relaying the beds with compost and getting them ready for the next growing season. And hopefully we shouldn't need to dig them up again. Fingers crossed.
We spotted these fruit trees in the local garden centre the other day, reduced by 50%, so too good an opportunity to pass up. I'm going to get them in the ground today, starting with the apple tree. And I'm digging a nice square hole. A square hole will mean that when it hits the sides, the roots will be encouraged to keep going out rather than spiralling round and round. Need to go down a bit more. The trick is to put an implement across the hole, and then that will tell you where roughly the soil is going to go up to, so we can definitely go down a fair bit deeper. So we need to say a big thank you to John for this apple tree. We have, as some of you are well aware, a Buy Me a Coffee page, which we've renamed Buy Me Seeds. And lots of you have very generously donated, and we've tallied up the money, and now we're starting to buy things for the garden with it. So these 3 trees are from that. So this one is funded purely by John. Thank you, John. Maybe we'll get a little name tag for it. To be honest, we haven't had a great success rate with our fruit tree planting so far, and I think the main reason is I really didn't realise how much water they need. I think of trees as being pretty low maintenance, but when you plant a new one for that first year or two especially, it really does need a lot of water. So these guys are going to get regular watering, especially with the hot summers that we get, and even our winters can be quite dry. We don't get a huge amount of rain, so I will make sure that I keep on top of the watering. So I didn't put any compost in the hole, but I am going to put a bit on the top, making sure to keep clear though of the actual tree stump, because they don't like it. And then we'll probably put a little fence around it as well, just to keep any hairs away. To be honest, we've had a shocking start to the year, so this tree planting is a little bit of an antidote to all of that, following on from our last instalment where the house had chicken pox. Me and Brooke then got food poisoning. Kind of fortunately, it was while my parents were here, So they were able to look after the children, which was really good. They managed to avoid it, although my dad then got it a bit later. So I don't know. Was it food poisoning? Was it a stomach bug? It's a bit of a mystery. It wasn't fun, that's for sure. And then on Friday, I very foolishly thought I could do a plumbing job in an hour max. And instead it turned into us having no water all weekend. So a plumber came out this morning and fixed it. And the lesson, which I really should have learnt by now, no job in an old house is simple. No job. Oh. Nice, that's that one all done. Thank you, Sophie. Hopefully we'll get some plums in a couple of years. Here we find the lesser spotted brook in his natural habitat, cleaning the rubble, ready for grass seeding.
You may have seen me in the background just trying to sort out this area. We had the sand here, I've moved it over there, and I'll probably grass seed this area. But these stones are a little bit of a hazard, especially for kids. They start climbing up here. So I'm building a little wall here that should be secure, level it out a little bit more with these little ones, and then it's less of a problem if the kids start climbing on the stones. And I feel like I spent the last 2.5 years just moving the stones around. Anyway, let's get some more stones.
As many of you will have seen, the polytunnel blew down in a winter storm. We tried to rescue it, but the wind picked up again and we had to stop. It got blown over again, and this time I think there's no coming back. But time was marching on and we needed somewhere sheltered to put our newly sown seeds. In France, it's very common not to have windowsills inside the house, so Brooke whipped up a couple of tables with some wood we had lying around.
Right, where do you want this, love?
Hopefully they'll enjoy the warmth of the kitchen and we'll soon have lots of seedlings ready for planting out in a couple of months. We've got a couple of extra beds in the potager this year, so as well as vegetables, I'm also planting lots of flower seeds for cut flowers and natural dyeing. Come the summer, hopefully the potager will be filled with fruit, vegetables and flowers. Watch this space.
We've had no water for several days and it's starting to become a problem. And I don't quite know how to do it. And there are no plumbers in the area to help us. So I'm going to give it a go and see what happens. So wish me good luck. And yeah, let's go for it. I managed to change a pipe quite simply and that should do the job. So let's test it to see if it works. So that's another job done. I can hear Tara calling me from the other house. Yeah, coming darling. Something with the electrics, okay? Let's have a look. I'm working on the other kitchen at the moment. It's a space that we can all be in as a family. And I really want to get this done before we go away again on our travels. The only problem is I seem to have lost the electricity in the room. I just want to test. I think I've lost it on all the sockets. So that's a big problem. We seem to have lost our entire electricity in the kitchen. But, you know, we always remain positive, and even though we have 2 young children, we will always get through this, and there's always a solution.